Rust has this really curious type called a cow, and it means let's see, clone on write. That's clone on write. That's where the name comes from. And the best way to start is to look at the signature, which is kind of crazy, but we'll start there. Let's bring this over to the window and see if we can understand what it is. So it's an enum cow. So it's an enum. So we understand enums, and you can see there are the two types. It's got when you use a cow, you either have to choose borrowed or you have to choose owns. And we know what those are, like borrowed types. A stir, a reference to a stir is a borrowed type because it's not sized, and that's where this comes in. So this b, it can be, question mark sized means might not be sized, and usually it means probably not sized in practice. So this is saying it's saying that it has a trait that it's not going to be probably not going to be sized. So you can send in this stir, and it's ready to bring that in. And you can also see, because of that, it's going to be using references. So this type B, it's going to be a reference, and so it has it has two owned. That means you can make it into an owned type. It has that trait, and it is also so not sized probably. And then so a cow lets you return one or the other. So this is if you want to return. Usually you'll see a cow when you want to return either a stir or a string. So you have some function and you don't know, maybe I want to return a stir, maybe I want to return a string. And so does something, you can't choose this and you can't choose this. You want to use both, so you use a cow in that situation. That's one way to do it. And you can see one example of it is this thing here. So from UTF-8 lossy, and this is a function when you're making a string. You can see it's a string function. You can or string method, and it's used to make one. But if it doesn't work, it's going to give you a stir instead. And that's if you think you have let's say you have some fancy character like this. It's a sparkle heart, and maybe not all monitors can display it, and you don't want the user to get an error. So you can use from UTF-8 lossy, and then if it doesn't display, then it'll turn into this character here. And you've probably seen this before. If you have like if something's not ASCII, or if something's really not ASCII, like Korean, then instead of making an error, then you want to just have this question mark, and then you can your program doesn't crash. And you can see this is it's a cow, and so it's sending in this slice of bytes. So it's looking at these bytes here, and trying to put them together into this string that will display if you have Unicode. So that is the way you'll usually see a cow. You can use it to also turn arrays to vex, if you can, and if not, then you keep it as an array. Well, it's not an array, but a slice of an array, with the ampersand in front. So let's put a small example together, and then we can see how we can actually use a cow. So that's not function, that's function, modulo 3. So here we are going to imagine that we're giving this function a number, and depending on the number, it's going to return either a stir or a string. Who knows why, but that's what we're going to do. And this cow, you see this quite a bit, because if you're giving you're just quickly creating this, so you might as well give it the static lifetime a lot of the time. and it's not connected to anything else. So you see that, and then also a stir instead of a a reference to a stir, and that's because of the signature itself. So if you get if you're using the borrowed part, then it's going to take this B that comes in, and it's going to put the ampersand on for you. So you're not so you don't need to write ampersand stir. So let's match the input, and we will say input modulo 3, and if we get 0, then we'll write remainder is 0, and you write into, and into will make it into the cow. Another way to do it is you say cow borrowed, and then you put it inside there. But one easy way to do it is just to say into, and then the rest is going to decide for you. So if it can be borrowed, then it'll make it borrowed, and if it has to be owned, then it'll make it owned. So here is remainder is 1 into, and then let's say any other case, if it's so that will be depending if we get a 2. 1 out of 3 times we're going to get this remainder instead. And for this, we'll use this this format macro to make it into a string. So this remainder is something, and then remainder, and then we'll do the same thing here. So we have so you can see for 0 we for all of them we say into. And this one, it's a borrowed type, so it's going to choose borrowed because that's what it'll do if it can. Here, it'll also keep it as borrowed. And then here, we're giving it a string, so the cow is going to look at it and say, okay, this is an owned type, so it's going to give back B as an owned type. So it'll give you a string, essentially. So let's go through some numbers. And then we can prove that that this is happening. So what we'll do is modulo 3 and number. So we're going to put these numbers in, and then if it is a cow borrowed message, then we're going to print. Let's say print 9 something went in. The cow is borrowed with this message, and then we have the number. This is getting kind of long. Let's see, number message, and then if it's not borrowed, it's going to be cow owned, and cow owned, and we'll bring in message again, and we're going to say something, that's the number, went in, the cow is owned with this message, and don't forget to put that in there, and then we'll print out number and message again. So let's see if this works. That should be a 6. And so it has worked. So you can see so just to go over this again to make sure that we understand. So we are taking a number. We're starting with 1. It goes into modulo 3. So modulo 3 takes this 1, and it looks at this and says, okay, what is the remainder? And the remainder is 1. And then so it says, okay, the remainder is 1, and passes this message on. And it uses into to say, please make this into a cow. So the cow then looks at this and says, okay, do I need to make this into an owned type? And it looks at this, and this is a stir, and the cow says, I don't need to do that. So it returns it as a borrowed stir. So it takes this stir, and it puts this this ampersand on, and it passes it back. And so we are also matching here to check to see which one it is. And it gave us a cow borrowed, and so we printed out this message so that we can understand that is borrowed. And then, you know, when the remainder was anything but 0 or 1, then it, so that was for this here. So when 2 went in, it looks at this, it says it doesn't match here, it doesn't match here. So it takes this, this 2 and we say, okay, please make this into a string. And so it looks at that, the cow says, okay, this is a string, what do I need to do? I guess that needs to be an owned type, so it sends back a cow with a string inside, and then which is a cow owned, and then here's the message, and then we print it out. So that is the way a cow works, and because it's fun to learn how to use a cow, we're going to do it in one more video next with a slice of an array and a vec.